It's Dean. I am just taking to TikTok to record my reflections for this unit. Um, so first off, the first question is, how will you approach similar situations in the future? In the concept of like doing something new for the first time, which was creating a podcast. I think in the future, what I've learned from this is A, take notes, um, and B, take notes while you're learning the new thing. So that way you can reflect on that later, or like if you're tired like I am now and you're just starting to like learn something, if I were to try to recall something from that program tomorrow and I had just learned it, I wouldn't be able to recall that. So if I would take notes and leave that for the next day, I could at least like quickly reference. So that would be nice. How does this inform your personal and professional goals? Uh, I think what this informs me is when taking on new technologies and creating these things, give myself some time, but also that time crunch at the end, which everything's due here in like a couple hours. Um, that that sense of like, okay, you have a finite amount of time, you don't have endless amount of time, so you need to just crack down and make artistic choices or make decisions confidently. And I think from this unit, at least making those deliverables is what kind of like informed that for me. How could I improve my performance or contribution? Yeah, I think so. In my podcast, I have a character named Rose, and she, in the first half of the podcast, she comes off like just really bland, like very flat. She doesn't have a lot of energy behind her. So I think I could have improved that there by maybe revisiting the script or playing around how her voice came out, because I used a voice moderator um, uh, to kind of change the way that she sounded. Um, and maybe that had something to do it. If I had more time, I definitely could have played around with those variables, and maybe I could have made her a little bit more appealing. Um, what do you need to revisit to master the material? If we're talking about the podcast, I think just time, like time and practice, right? It's just like sports, it's just like art, it's just like anything. You have to do it a couple times, and your first couple ones are going to be really bad. And then the more you do it, the better you're going to get. Like my audio, for example, was all over the place. Um, and I feel like tightening it up, that only comes with practice. So you just have to, make more. Example, that mask back there, that was like the first paper mache mask I ever made, and over time, they just, they got better. So yeah, so just time. What resources are available to me? ASU has a pretty good plethora of like hands-on learning, and then there are clubs if you want to go into digital creation of things like podcasts or even short scripts of TV shows or whatever. How did your attitude, logic, and behavior influence your performance or contribution? As a creative individual type, I think my behavior is very much influenced by creativity and just wanting to express, uh, and going for it. But also, honestly, me being a bit procrastinating during the week forced my hand to where I had to put on a whole podcast production with just me and various voices, because I couldn't ask people if they wanted to contribute or had the time to contribute. So that's on me. So that's how that kind of impacted my work. What worked, I think, was just going with my gut. And although it seemed like a crazy idea to do a whole podcast with different voices all by myself, I felt like it worked fairly well. What didn't work maybe were the specific voices I used. I have a character on there, who he's kind of like a cowboy. The voice I picked for him doesn't really match his accent nor his energy. So if I could go back, I would probably try to find different voice filters that could capture that energy that I was going for. But yeah, so that's about it. Overall, I thought it was a pretty fun unit, and I'm looking forward to the next unit that we have later.